Yeah, that's fine.
Hi, I'm here with Dr. Craig Fagan, my brother-in-law, and Dr. Bruce L. Thiessen. I also go by Dr. BLT. And we've been watching your video about the one about eternity. I forget the exact title. But it stimulated some ideas, and wanted to talk to my brother-in-law.
Yeah, and he's a real doctor of philosophy. I'm a doctor-in-law. And we're coming to you from San Diego, California. So we like what you had to say. We have some counterpoints, but we like the way you put it out very inoffensively. Just good topic for discussion. And he and I were always kind of we're stuck on discussing topics like eternity and things of that nature. So we found your video to be very interesting.
That's right, and one aspect that we found to be particularly intriguing was your illustration of a book, no pun intended, but you were talking about a book and how the author imposes structure on that book, and we read it as if there is a structure when really it's artificially imposed, and just to give us the sense that there's some kind of order to it. But the thing that you and I were discussing was, where does that sense of a need to order things, where does that come from? Is there like an original template that we borrow from in order to impose that sort of order? Where does that come from? You know, that was a question that came up.
And we like what you talked about, and you made the point about saying that the universe just is because it is, and that's, you know, I think you made a reference to Stephen Hawking. I know that's a specific reference that Richard Dawkins typically makes, but we look at that as that's not an unimportant issue that has to be discussed, because we know from Einstein's theory of relativity, he showed that the universe is roughly 13.7 billion years old, and Hubble's discovery of the expanding universe has also showed a flashpoint of the universe. So we know scientifically that there is a beginning point of the universe. It isn't just is, it had a starting point. And we're not saying that to discredit you or what have you, we're just saying that there is a point in time where there was no universe. So the primary issue at that point is, where the heck did all this come from?
And I know that, you know, in our daily lives, we're constantly confronted with this tension between absolute and what is relative. And it seems like the more we experience this life, the more experience that we expose ourselves to, the more we find that more and more of what we assumed was absolute actually is, to at least a certain degree, relative. And so it's like we're forced to live in this world where there seems to be something absolute, and yet there also seems to be this phenomenon of relativity.
And I think a lot of the thing that makes this discussion difficult for a lot of people is that dogma enters into the equation, and people kind of entrench themselves in a certain position. What we like to do is just look at it with an open mind, you might say. Because at some point we have to get to a beginning, and who was the first person, and how did they get thinking started, and where did it come from. And I just look at it from the standpoint of it's just too logical for it to just happen. We look at everything in this whole world. If we look at a chair, we look at a television set, we look at a smartphone, we look at YouTube, it all came from somebody of greater intelligence. We see that everywhere in this world. And if the very beginning of this universe started in intelligence, even if you just want to say it's one cell, the first living cell was probably no fewer than 10 billion separate parts. And that's quite a jigsaw puzzle. So if we're looking at intelligence, and there's a massive amounts of intelligence wherever we look, it logically follows that it came from somewhere else.
Okay, well, any other thoughts?
Yeah, we're going to try and keep this short, but we like the dialogue, and you'll probably be seeing us again. Once again, we're coming from sunny San Diego, where the temperature drops to 72 degrees in December, so it gets kind of cold around here, but I'm sure it's not so bad in England, right?
I should also add that I plan to use your videos to engage my students. I teach psychology courses, and I really like that your delivery. It's so non-threatening, and it's got a real cool vibe to it, which I think a lot of younger college and university students can really relate to, which makes it more accessible, more relevant in today's world. So I want to thank you for actually motivating us to do this video. Thank you.
We hope to hear from you again.
Have a great day.